Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of Midweek Matters. We're back, Charlie.
We are back. Gordon Tallis and Aaron Woods filled in.
Didn't they do a sensational job?
Did a sensational job. Numbers on YouTube were outstanding. And I think they're going to be back for game 2 as well, to recap game 2.
They will be back for game 2, fingers crossed, all being well. How are you, Charlie?
I'm very well, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How many podcasts is this for you today?
This is my third rugby league podcast of the day.
Third rugby league podcast.
Yeah. So I'm a bit tired. Tried to do some emails before. You weren't having any of it. But you're allowed to go make a cup of tea before we come on. But I can't just send one email. An email that's for the good of the whole bar.
You were complaining that you had a meeting at 9 o'clock. Like, it's like, oh, wow. You have a big day.
Yeah, big day.
But you shouldn't be saying that you're tired. You should be saying you're refreshed. You're across everything. You've had a diverse selection of opinions on the game. So you should be focusing that in on.
No, I've had a very diverse section of opinions.
Good.
We decided that Nathan Cleary's now, it's probably a bit boring now to talk about Nathan Cleary, so we haven't spoken about him. But I just did a podcast and I kind of have stolen the idea from that podcast for what we're going to start here. For today's Tui's How Do You Feel segment, Jimmy, I want to know how you feel about the Tigers and their contract reshuffling. There's a bit of a clean out going on. So it looks like Jake Simpkin, David Nofaluma, Sean Blaw, Dane Laurie are all on the chopping block. Luke Brooks has been offered a 2-year, $1 million deal to stay. And maybe let's start with Luke Brooks.
Yeah, well, sorry, I'll go firstly on the lads on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Well, like that happens at every club every year. But there seems like there's a big focus on the Tigers, especially with the fact that they've got Benji taking over, not next year, but the year after. I think, look, I was a big fan of Dane Laurie before Bula came in.
Yep.
I thought he was probably arguably the Tigers' best. Can understand why he would look to get or an opportunity to play, as a NRL regular first grader. Nofaluma, it's probably time for him to move on and get a refresh. He's been there for a very long time.
He's been playing well, though, since he came back in the team.
Yeah, he has. But, I mean...
They've got options, though. They've got a bit of depth there in those positions,
they've got some depth there.
Yeah.
And then, look, the Brooks re-signing, he's been playing a lot better as of late. But obviously, it's clear that the Tigers have entered the market for other halfbacks. And they've not been able to land one of them, so they go to Brooks, and I guess that it is what it is, kind of thing. And it's not like there's a multitude of options out there at the minute.
No, there's no real halfbacks available on the market for next year anyway.
Yeah,
and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about next year.
Yeah.
So
there's no apparent. Well, I know they were linked with Lewis Dodd over in England. Not quite sure on his contractual situation. But in terms of getting a halfback for next year, there's good luck.
A starting halfback we're talking about as well. Like, so Luke Brooks, say you give him $500 a year, you might still be able to bring a Lewis Dodd over.
Yeah, but
because if you look at their spine now, Jimmy, it's becoming really, it's a really cheap spine. It should mean they've got a lot of money to put in our positions. If Luke Brooks signs for $500, he's on $500. Dewey's obviously out next year. So that's a bit of your salary cap you lose. I think he's on about $700. Coruscant's on $700. Bula's going to be on a small deal. He's just emerged on the team.
They'll have to upgrade
him.
Bula.
Brandon Waken would be on close to minimum, you would think. It's pretty cheap.
It's a there's not a lot of money in the spine, but that just gives Bula will have to be upgraded, and then that puts them in a strong position if they can actually get some performances this year and advance up the ladder a little bit, play like they have been doing. The attraction to the Tigers it increases, where maybe at the start of the season people are like, why would they go there? But actually, if they can start to get performances, and then with Benji Marshall stepping in, you can understand why he would attract players with the ability, especially anyone that's got that more of an attacking mindset. Yeah. And this isn't a knock on Benji, but we know he's got a great attacking brain.
But I think it's not just players who are attackingly minded. I think Benji Marshall, and Danny Wilder spoke about this on the podcast I just did before, the ability that he'll have to recruit players because of who he is. A lot
Yeah.
of this generation grew up as Benji Marshall as their favourite player.
Yeah.
It was in 05, him carrying the Tigers, like the skill, and everyone wanted to be like Benji Marshall. So he's going to have a lot of pull. And I've worked with him. He's got kind of an aura around him a little bit. Like I think he's a really big factor for them recruiting.
Yeah, we probably underestimate that, don't we? That,
Yeah.
You know, he is a lot of people's hero, and we kind of forget that because, you know, we have worked with him. It's just Benji's just Benji. And look, I played against him and obviously I have great amount of respect for him, but we forget that, you know, some of these players view him through a different lens. It's like, oh, wow, Benji, I can actually be coached by the person who I grew up idolizing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Charlie, when you think about it, is a huge pull. So lots of positive signs for the Tigers after, you know, it was an awful start to the season. You know, they were the constant whipping boys. They couldn't find a win. You know, and look for that combination to go. I guess for Brooks, you know, he's got the power now because they've lost out on so many players. It's an interest. Just because the Tigers have offered him this doesn't mean he'll necessarily stay. I know, you know, there are other clubs, especially in England. He might just go, look, well, I'm not in the long term plans. I'm gonna, you know, thank you and shake hands. And
he might ask for more money as well.
Yeah,
he might get more money. Like Brooks is actually for all he's criticised, he's in a position of power here.
Yeah,
he could ask for more money. $500,000 for a starting halfback is unders as far as the market value.
Yeah.
And obviously people talk about how Luke Brooks has been overpaid. He always gets crucified for being $1 million player, but he's contributed.
He was on a back-ended deal, which, again, I hope the fans understand that back-ended deals, as an individual, when you're on them, they don't help you. You're actually helping the club, but yet you come in for criticism when your salary is... He's not on... if he signed a 4-year deal, he didn't sign $1 million a year. It was just back-ended.
Yeah.
So he's on $1 million a year now, but his technical value and his contribution over the course of his deal has been like $750.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I know what you're talking about. I didn't realize that was the case, but
yeah. So as an individual, for you to receive that money, it's better to get that money earlier. I'm sure anyone that's, you know, looks at investment or whatever it may be, it's better to get that money earlier than it is later.
Yeah.
Like, cash is king, as they say.
Yeah,
Charlie.
of course. Well, of course. He could put it in a high interest savings account.
You could do.
Could make a fortune.
The way the rates are going at the minute. Mind you, having said that, he wouldn't have got much rates on his savings then versus now.
Because there is probably more options for Brooks in the NRL as well. I think
there is?
Yeah, I think the Raiders losing Jack Whiten opens up a door for him at Canberra to be a 5'8" and to be out of the spotlight in Sydney, and they can probably offer him 700 maybe a longer term deal.
Weren't Canberra in for him a while
Canberra weren't from a
ago?
while ago. Obviously, he had the opportunity to go to Newcastle, which the Tigers didn't let happen.
But Fogarty's there now, right?
Yeah, but Luke Brooks can play 5'8". You could have Brooks and Fogarty as your combination.
Yeah.
So there is other opportunities. That's just one that we're thinking of.
And there could be a domino effect as well happen with, you know, Ben Hunt if he decides to move on from the Dragons, and, you know, we see it happen a lot where there is that domino effect. Like Hunt could move, which then has a trickle on effect to everybody else. So
yeah, we're not going to talk about Ben Hunt, but let's actually just move on to Ben quickly. But before we do that segment, thanks to Tuies. How do you feel, Jimmy?
Feel like a Tuies
or two. Love your Tuies. But just quickly on Ben Hunt, he wants to be. I think something's come out where basically he wants to be a halfback. He's said that for years, but he said that his future at the Dragons is dependent on him playing halfback. Well, that's what the reports are.
Yeah. Look, I get that, and I understand that, but and you can say that as an individual, and that's fine. But the reality of the situation is, for the Dragons at the minute, they need Ben for the team to perform at its full potential. They need Ben Hunt in a dummy half, and it's simple as that. Because they need Sullivan to play.
Yep.
And he's a 7. And Ben Hunt offers them more at 9, in my opinion. And Ben, I totally get that. And this is, I'm not saying Ben Hunt's wrong for saying that, but at the moment, that's what the Dragons need from him. And I understand why he doesn't want to play at dummy half at club football, but he will, but he will at state and international level. But that said, when the new coach comes in, they've got a big call to make, because also the consequence of Ben Hunt remaining as your 7 is Sullivan likely goes, well, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And also for what they've got at the moment, and even for next year, I don't know of any major signings. If they've got that roster going into next year, you want to perform optimally. Will Ben Hunt you 9?
I think it's actually pretty bad that these sort of reports coming out from the Dragons. That like Ben, I don't know if it's Ben Hunt's camp getting these reports out, but really, if you're the highest paid player and you're one of the leaders of the club, with all the drama around the club, why would you want a story like this coming out?
Yeah,
don't you just do what's best for the team? If your best position for the team is hooker, don't you just sort of have to leave your ego a little bit to the side and just play the position that is going to benefit the club the most?
Look, that's ideal world, so isn't it, Charlie? But egos do come into it, and preferences do come into it, and you know that old, and Ben Hunt's 33. Yeah, I can see why he's just going, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to make 30, 40 tackles. I want to defend that wide, and I understand how he would feel. No, I'm a better halfback than I am a hooker. And he would still think, well, I can still contribute, but and this isn't a knock on Ben. I get that, but I think it wouldn't surprise me if Ben leaves.
Yeah, but maybe that's a good thing for the Dragons.
Yeah, it's
like if they're spending a lot of money on Ben Hunt, and he's contracted until the end of 2025. So he's 33 at the moment. So he'll be 35 when this deal
the only
ends.
problem is if a coach comes in for next year and says to him, look, Ben, I want you to play 9, and he decides to leave, they're going to have this huge pot of money, but what players are available? And we know players do come available, that happens, but let's not forget the Dolphins have got a big war chest.
Yep.
Like a huge war chest.
Yeah.
So to Canberra, with Jack Whiten suddenly leaving. So, it's not just, they're not the one and only option. So, look,
there's going to be a bit of movement, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of movement.
There's going to be some movement and fallout.
Get the halfback merry-go-round going.
Yes.
Now, on the rundown here, it says the bye round whinging about the bye.
Doing my head in.
Why have we got some teams that have had 2 byes, some teams that have had no byes? And the other question, which I think is the main thing that annoys you, is that they get points for the bye.
Yeah, well, the very fact that like a team can be on 7 wins above a team on 8 wins, like, just doesn't make any sense.
Do you want to know how I think they should do it? I think they should do it like the NBA, win percentage.
Yeah. Oh, win percentage, yeah.
So it's just the percentage of wins. That's how the ladder's sorted. Obviously, it all works itself out at the end of a year, but it's just good to be able to track who's where. Like, it's so frustrating with the buys. Like, it's so confusing. I couldn't tell you what the top 4 is. I'm confused by it right now.
Yeah, well, the good thing is it will work itself out, but it just doesn't give an accurate portrayal of where teams are at, or where some teams are at. And I get, Charlie, you're so right. How some teams have had 2 byes already and some teams have had none. Like South and Brisbane, you can't tell me that they are at a distinct advantage now with their bye schedule. And they not even just now. Before a ball was kicked, you can't tell me that Demetriou and Walters have gone, geez, look at this bye schedule we've got. How good is that?
3 byes in the back half of the year for both those clubs.
Like, is that not a massive advantage? Like, I don't know the full Dragon schedule, but they get one in round 1, and then I know that they don't get one late. So if you're thinking about, like, let's look at the impact of and the importance that was placed on being in the top 4 and playing for the opportunity for a week off in finals. That history has proved that the value of that and the advantage that gives you come finals time.
Yeah.
Well, you can't tell me now that based off their bye schedule, Brisbane and South aren't a huge advantage.
Massive advantage. And particularly Brisbane after they faded last year in the back half of the year because of Origin. Now this year they've got 3 byes in the back half of the season.
Yeah. Well, even that, like as a message in a group, and we know coaches and players go, it's a week to week, just focus on this week. You can't tell me they've not seen that draw and go, right, lads, we rip in, start well. Like, look at the freshen up we get.
Yeah.
I think Brisbane have got like 2 byes in 4 weeks, and then I think they've got one at around 25, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. Something like that.
Is that not like the biggest incentive ever to be like, hang on, we talk about needing the stars aligned to get a premiership, but like that bye schedule it's looking pretty enticing. And I guess I don't know how the bye is drawn, and even look at Parramatta where they were playing so many teams in last year's top 4, all coming off a bye. I think it happened like 3 weeks in a row. Like that's unfair. So I think the NRL needs to look at this and go, we can't have teams having 2 byes versus no byes. Everyone, it needs to be you can't have anyone being more than 1 bye ahead.
Nah, it's not. It's stupid. It's actually. I think it's some teething issues with the new schedule.
Yeah. That they
Whoever's
probably
put the draw together.
There's been an oversight.
Yeah,
there's been a massive oversight. And look, what I would like to see is, they put this emphasis on this. The preseason club challenge, and there was a monetary prize given. So we couldn't do it for that season. So say, for example, season 2024, if that tournament goes ahead again, have the winners of that pick a bye for season 2025.
Yes.
So it means something. It's worth playing for.
Yeah.
So you get to pick 1 bye, like when you have it. So there'd be strategy around that. We get our last bye pick, or we can pick one at any point in the season. So, you might pick it round 24, around 25.
Around 27 you pick this
year? Maybe you pick round 27.
Last round of the season.
Yeah, 26 or 27, whatever you thought as a coach. And then work back in order.
Yeah.
So you get to pick one.
Because surely you can just go you can just go through the ladder and just go team by team by team. So not ladder, sorry, but just list the teams. Go right. They got the bye, then that bye, then restart again. Bye. So it's like team. Does that make sense? I'm not really explaining myself very well. It does,
but the very fact that teams get 3, and you've got to schedule it all in. It basically, from what I can gather, there's an algorithm.
Well, could you do snake mode? I'm overcomplicating it now, aren't I?
I know what you're taking like a snake draft.
Yeah, a snake draft.
I know what you mean by the snake draft.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't work because there's some weeks where like 4 or 5 teams get a bye. Do you know what I mean? It's not it's not the bye isn't afforded to one team in particular.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a couple
of
a
few
teams.
Yeah.
So I think incentivizing the club challenge, the preseason challenge, to pick a bye and then the rest in an algorithm.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a little bit fairer than what we've got at the moment because it doesn't seem like it's fair.
Yeah. Bit of C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Is that what
you can't have, the team off the bye can't play.
Nah.
If you play a team off a bye, so you'd fine tune the equation to be, so if you play a team off the bye, you can't play a team off the bye the next week.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And then all of the things
kind of makes sense. I'm getting lost in the bye now.
and then a more even distribution of byes. So we don't end up in a position like we are now.
Yeah.
Where there's 3 teams on no byes and a number of teams on 2 byes.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But if you like your byes, come to the bye round.
Yeah. That's true. Do we name we've got the perfect name for a podcast. Are we going to change our name when there's an 18th team added?
Because we were operating last year on... Yeah. And I think you still have a bye.
You still have a bye during the Origin rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
don't go changing the
it's a
bye.
brand now. You can't change the brand,
Yeah,
can you?
like-
no.
Yeah.
Don't go changing the bye.
I wouldn't if I tried.
Anyway, the bye. Cam,
Well, basically, it'll get fixed up.
yeah. All right, Cam Murray, Latrell Mitchell, they're both not playing this weekend. We're going to preview the whole round, but just quickly that on those two, are you worried that neither of them can now play before game 2? Can you carry them both in?
Well, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you will. You'll make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Like, and I imagine Freddie, if he does pick them, will pick some players to shadow them as well. If they were to go down. I think, groins, calves, they can reoccur.
Yep.
So Freddie's not stupid. He'll know that. He'll manage their load and all that sort of jazz that goes into all the performance side of things. But I think both are big enough names and important players for New South Wales to go up there to, if they're going to rescue the series, they need both these two players fit and firing. So you do run a risk with them. You're not going to go, they've not played. But if they say they're good, then you put them in. If they're not, they miss out.
Any concern of the several soft tissue injuries that have come out of New South Wales? I know Aaron Wood spoke about it.
Look, I think it's just a coincidence, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we play a contact sport that involves a lot of running and a lot of training and repetition. I just think it's pure coincidence. Pure coincidence. I could be wrong, but the sports scientists like to keep themselves in jobs and justify, and I get why they're needed, but some will argue, and some sports scientists have different theories on how it works. I remember going over and over with a sports scientist about they were so adamant that 2 days before a game needed to be a rest day, where another sports scientist was like, no, 3 days, and just going on, and you're like, Jesus Christ, who cares? So, I don't know. And then some captain's run has to be a walk.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Can't we just? Yeah.
So it's all is it a little bit like pseudoscience-y, some of that stuff?
I think. Well, also some of the studies that they go to studies for evidence-based theory.
Yeah.
Why we do this? It's it's not done on rugby league players.
Yeah, right.
It's done. It's conducted on athletes in other sports, but they use that data and go, well, this is the evidence. You go, well, they're not rugby league players.
Yeah.
They're different sorts of athletes. So until a study was to come out on rugby league players and peak performance, there's all sorts of things that contribute to peak performance. Okay, you could say that about when maybe criticize the number of intense sessions that New South Wales had, or maybe they didn't have enough. But then, were they training at 8 o'clock at night when the game's playing? That contributes. Your circadian rhythms and stuff like that may or may not be out of sync, but we don't do it.
Yeah.
So look, I think it's we're nitpicking at the best of it.
Yeah.
Injuries happen. It's a contact sport. It's a agility-based sport. Soft tissue issues are unfortunate, but they will happen. And
it is what it is.
And also, people don't just like to say it's unlucky. It's like, I've got to blame someone.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy, let's then move on to the round preview and start off probably one of the more disappointing Thursday night games of the season. Not to be negative, but the Titans against the Tigers. David Feeder's out as well, but AJ Brimson's back. I mean, the Tigers have been decent to watch, actually, so it's maybe a bit harsh. But
Charlie, are you not forgetting this classic game from last year?
That's right, 2-0 wasn't it? Also with
round 4, the Gold Coast Titans beat the West Tigers 8 points to 6. AJ Brim, it was 6-2 with a minute to go.
Was it?
I can't remember the conditions, but I think Toby Sexton kicked it, hit the beans on toast, the post bounced down. Jock Madden missed it, and then Brimson pounced on it. It was a thriller.
I do remember that game. It was the worst game of rugby league I've ever watched in my life. Do you want to? I'm going to make a really bold call here.
Go on.
Titans will be leading at halftime, but lose. That's my bold statement of the week. 6 of their 7 losses.
You know what? I can actually see it happening.
Of course it's going to happen. It's the Titans. They lead at halftime, but they lose. 6 of their 7 losses, they've been winning at halftime.
It is pretty bad, that, isn't it? Like, for it to happen so much. I'm going to pick the Tigers.
You're going to pick the Tigers. I'm going to pick the Tigers as well.
Yeah.
Friday then, this game's been spoken about at nauseum. The Raiders against the Warriors. Jared Croker's 300th. I reckon it's a nice moment for him, for Jared Croker.
It's a brilliant moment for him, mate. It's fantastic considering the journey that he's been on, the perseverance, the adversity that he faced, and to stick with it and back himself. It's amazing. Obviously his omission from last week, it created a talking point. I think it was overblown.
Yep.
I think the reaction was overblown. Of course it's going to be a talking point. Like, a player's missing for the 300th game in order to bring him into a home game. It's going to get talked about. There's no issue with that, or there's certainly, in my opinion, there shouldn't be an issue with people bringing it up. But yeah, I think basically there's going to be a packed house there down in Canberra.
Yeah,
the Raiders have just got to win. The Warriors, look, they're a bit funny at the minute. Can't quite figure them out. Like, they're not performing at their absolute peak. They had a good win against the Dolphins, but they're pretty poor in the first half, and I think the Raiders will get the win.
Yeah, Warriors are just, we sort of called it, I think, a few weeks back. The steady decline of the Warriors has kicked in.
Yeah, they're going
to keep sliding down the ladder, I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because Canberra, we always underestimate Canberra.
Yeah, no, Canberra flying.
Yeah, they're good.
You know what? Like, for all that, for Ricky Stewart, could be that secret, like what the experienced coaches do. Like they want to go under the radar. Like, it stops people talking about how well they're playing.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
the
good coaches can get a narrative and put up this deflector shield, and then you kind of like, oh yeah, we're all talking about whether or not resting Jared Croker is the right or wrong thing to do. Meanwhile, under the radar, it's like, hello, Raiders are like, their record, speaking about the buys, like, they're like a genuine top 4 team.
Yeah, they're killing it. They've won I think it's 6 or 7 they've won. So like they're on fire, and I mean they should win this weekend.
They should do, yeah.
So I think we forget last year they beat the Storm in week 1 of finals in Melbourne, and then
we do.
We forget that. Like, they're a team that made week 2 of finals last year. They're
mate.
Like, good on the Raiders.
They're going very nicely this year.
The second Friday game, it's a big one. Manly Seagulls against the Dolphins. The reason it's a big one, it's Anthony Seabolt against his old sparring partner, Wayne Bennett. It
is. It should be a great game. And Turbo is back.
Turbo's back. You spoke about that on the Jam and Cheese show.
Let's leave that. We've spoke about that, but he needs a big game. Because, if New South Wales are going to pick him, they need to know he's ready to go. That one game against Canberra, he was quiet by his own very high standards for New South Wales. I think Stephen Crichton performed exceptionally well. So Tommy needs a big game with respect to selection for New South Wales, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've got my same game multi for this game.
I've got one on this one as well, Jimmy. Actually.
Are you on this one as well?
Yeah, you go first, though.
All right, I've gone with, let me just load up my app. Manly -8.5. Jason Saab, 2 or more tries.
2 or more.
Yeah.
He's been quiet lately.
$8.09.
$8.09. Okay. I've gone a different sort of way.
Okay.
I've actually got the Dolphins to win at their $3.10, and I've got the Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow to score a try, $6.02. I think Wayne Bennett will have really got the boys up for this game. They want to do it for Wayne against Anthony Seabolt, because there is bad blood there, which from Wayne Bennett's side. So $6, I don't mind it.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah. They've got some outs though, don't they, the Dolphins? So it's a big call by me. Second big call of the podcast.
It is a big call, but we'll see.
You know, just on Turbo having a big game, I guess if he doesn't have a big game and then you got the injury cloud over Latrell Mitchell, the next option, I mean, you said Stephen Crichton, but Campbell Graham, if he has a good game, maybe he can come into the mix. Because in our in the Triple M commentary, I don't think Gerds was as positive about Stephen Crichton. As there's been a lot of positive stuff about Stephen Crichton, but there was a couple big moments that he failed to ice, and Origin's kind of all about those big moments. There was one where he could have put To'o in. He dummied, went himself, got tackled. There was another one where he had pressure on him, but the tap on knocked it forward.
Yeah.
Defensively, I think they scored a couple tries down that edge. I don't know if Crichton had as good a game as people are saying. It's just what I think.
Mate, you make a fair and valid point. Yeah, Campbell Graham, I mean, kind of been not spoken about as much from what he was for Origin 1.
Yeah. I guess it's because he was injured as well.
Yeah.
If he comes out this weekend, there's the team's not named until Tuesday as well because there's a game on the Monday.
Ah, yes.
So there's a lot of different. It's a lot more interesting this time round, the squad for game 2, I think, because there's so many different factors involved.
Oh yeah, squad's name's Tuesday.
Yeah, so plenty of time to gibber over the weekend.
Yeah, but you're gonna be seeing people like, what are you doing in Coogee? Nothing.
Just here with the kids.
Yeah, just beach because it's winter.
Yeah. Well, one of those people who probably won't be in Coogee now is Cody Walker. There was a few whispers about him coming into the team if Adam Reynolds gets picked. It looks like he's done his quad.
Oh, no.
So he's probably out for the Bunnies this weekend. Not confirmed yet.
So no Latrell, no Murray,
no Walker. Big opportunity for the Dragons.
It is, but I think Souths will have enough.
Yeah.
I really do. As hard as it is for me to say that, I still think South Sydney will get the win there. But if Walker, Latrell, and Murray are missing, that's some huge losses. I don't think Tom Burgess is back yet either.
No, he's still out. He's still out, yeah. Kaloma Tungi is back from injury.
Yeah.
Came back a couple of weeks ago. He's a man who could get a crack if he has a big game. He could get a chance for New South Wales.
Yeah, probably, unfortunately for him, he was injured at the wrong time.
Yeah. Broncos Knights is the second Saturday game. And, I mean, it feels like Adam Reynolds, the momentum for him to play Origin has sort of slowed down a little bit, but it is an Origin audition for him. If he has a 10 out of 10 game, maybe he's a chance to get into the team.
Yeah, but with all due respect, against the Knights.
Yeah.
I think it's Hines.
Yeah. It probably is Hines. Yeah. It's fun to speculate.
It is, well.
Because in reality, Hines has been in the extended squad for the last 3 Origin games. He's madness if I don't pick him.
It would be madness if Hines isn't picked.
Because why are you picking him as the 14 then?
It would be madness.
Because really, he's not the best utility available, but he's such a good player that they had to get him in the team.
It would be Yeah, and you can the things going for Adam Reynolds. Yes, he's got he's been away from that combination for 18 months. Forget that. Oh, he plays for the team that plays at the stadium in Queensland. Are you
that has been the narrative.
He knows the ground well.
No man better for Suncorp.
Oh no, all right, well, if that's your category, get Alfie Langer back for Queensland. Then, no one knows it better than him. He played how many games there? He's ran the water. That is the worst argument. Yeah. If anyone ever goes to debate school and you're debating who to pick in the Origin, you are clutching at straws if you go, well, Adam Reynolds knows the ground.
Yeah, undaunted by Suncorp.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all cheering against him.
Also, they've all played at Suncorp.
Yeah,
loads of times.
Yeah. Oh, they had magic around there.
Yeah, 10 weeks ago.
Yeah. I forgot what it's like playing here.
All right, then. The late, who do you got in that game? Broncos, I imagine?
Yes.
Yeah. Roosters, Panthers. This game could have been anything. Could have been anything this game. Instead, they got no Nathan Cleary. The Roosters are more of a bottom eight team, it seems, at the moment. I think they'll come good, the Roosters, though.
You think the Roosters going to win?
I think
You think they'll come good
I
in the
don't know if they'll
season?
come. I think
or-
they'll come good in the season. I'm not sure. I think they're a chance this weekend.
Well, I think this was the game that last year. Oh no, it was at Penrith that really.
Penrith put 40 on them this year.
Yeah, they put 40 on them this year,
Yeah.
but this was the game that kick-started the Roosters season. I think I recall hearing for a number of the Roosters players, James Tedesco stood up and said, "We're not going to lose again this season," and that put them on that ridiculous winning streak, which unfortunately they couldn't continue on. They ended up losing to Souths in last year's playoffs, but there's a lot on the line. You've put in the notes, your own notes. Should have been a classic. I still think it could be.
Okay.
Because, like you say, Panthers embarrassed them.
Yep.
And a couple of weeks ago, Roosters will be looking for a response. Yes, they're down on troops, but that's never been an excuse for them. And without, their best player, Nathan Cleary, it could even the playing field a little bit. But I'm expecting, the Roosters scrape through against the Dogs. They didn't lead for the whole game, and apart from until 75 minutes, but I'm expecting a big game from the Roosters, and Saturday night game when you think like this, two of the before a ball was kicked, two of the competition heavyweights,
2 premiership favourites.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Where are you going to go?
I think I'm going to go with the Panthers, but it should be a great game.
I might go with the Roosters. You've talked me into the Roosters.
Good on you.
The Sunday game, then just one Sunday game this weekend. No 2:00 game. Storm against the Sharks. It really is no better audition for Nico Hines.
I don't think there is an audition.
But it is no better than him going up against
like,
Cam Munster, Harry Grant. This is it.
This is his time to shine. Like, I guess, look, in my opinion, it's Nico's to lose. Like, if he has a shocker in this game, this could be like, oh God, what are we going to do now? It is it's his number 7 jersey to lose. But again, this is the makings of an absolute great game. The Storm, like what went on last week against the Cowboys, this competition is bizarre. It does my head in, but I keep going back for more. Storm have got to bounce back.
Sharks have a good record against the Storm. Sneaky good record in Melbourne.
Well, it's not sneaky anymore.
No.
You verbalised it. Storm.
Storm, okay. I'll go the Sharks. Final game then, King's birthday. A lot of people have been saying Queen's birthday, public holiday. It's not. It's now the King.
Yeah.
Does that mean in England they changed the national anthem as well?
Yeah.
So it's God Save the King.
God Save the King.
That'll take a bit of time getting used to, wouldn't it?
Nope. Not. It's only
Seems
one
a
word.
bit silly to have a national anthem you're constantly chopping and changing.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't change for what? 75 years, 80 years?
Prince Charles is old though. Could be changing soon.
Probably not. Because
King to King, is it? I bet it's King to King.
So
So now does it say King to King for a little while? Also, was Queen a bit of a change up, was it?
It'll stay God Save the King until the Queen comes in.
Yeah.
So
What happens if the King dies but the King's not ready to inherit? Or the Queen's or his wife's still alive? Does it still jump down?
No, it goes down.
Goes down.
Yeah.
What a waste of money the royal family is.
Can we cut that out, Tony?
Final game then. King's birthday,
King's
Jimmy.
birthday.
Can't wait. Doggies against the Eels. Mitchell Moses has a chance to get the halfback spot, even though you say he doesn't. Gus Gould wants to pick him. It's a tough game to call.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to back the Dogs. They were very gutsy in their display against the Roosters. They just need to be a little bit better in a couple of areas, but big task for them. I know there's a couple of players on the extended bench, which hopefully can be pass fit for the Dogs. But big task with big Junior Borlo and Campbell Gillard is back as well.
Huge in
for Para, but that's a big task for the Bulldogs forwards to hopefully get over.
The Dogs actually are building something. It's a shame the results haven't quite gone their way. They've lost a few close games, but as a Doggies man, you're probably really happy with what you're seeing. And the progression of certain players like Matt Burton looks brilliant. You've unearthed some rookies as well, some young players that are probably going to shape what the Dogs look like in the next few years.
Yeah, guys like Preston, have been outstanding. Even Avarillo in the centres has been really good. So there's a lot of positive signs there. And you think you've still got Thompson and Billy Kickout to come in. Then next year Crichton and Cherry as well. So the foundations are there.
That's going to be tough to fit Crichton and Cherry in.
Well, Crichton will play fullback, I imagine.
But then Hayes Perham has been.
Yeah, he has.
Quality.
I mean, but that's it. You want competition.
Yeah,
for
of course you do.
spaces,
Yeah, because Bronson Cherry, it might take a bit of time for him to crack that team. Because
potentially.
Paul Alamotti's going really good. Avarillo's going really good. You got to find someone for Hayes Perham. Might be taking a little bit of time for Bronson Cherry to get into the team.
Yeah, could do.
Yeah,
could do. But things are certainly looking up. But still a fair bit of work to go.
That's probably it for us then, Jimmy.
Wraps us up, Charlie.
Yeah. Good to have you back, mate.
Yeah, good to have you back as well. And mate, thank you so much for coming in today. I know it's been a super busy day with having that meeting at 9 o'clock and
did F45 at 6:45 this morning as well.
Oh, really?
So I've been on the go, mate. 2 podcasts, couple of phone calls as well.
Couple of phone calls.
Yeah.
Not to your mum.
Yeah.
Can you make my lunch, please?
I'm so busy, please.
Oh, I'm so busy. Make me a
so
sandwich.
Can you
drop it off. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. I forgot to wear my Bang Around t-shirt today, so sorry for anyone that's wanting to see that, but they are still available. So please check out in the link for the Shopify. Black and grey.
They also, the other thing just quickly is a lot of people who are watching the stuff on YouTube and listening to the podcast aren't subscribed. If you can press subscribe on YouTube,
please.
It makes a massive difference for the show. But also on Spotify, if you press follow, on Apple Podcasts, if that's how you listen, press follow. Because all of that stuff, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really helps support the podcast. So please subscribe, give us a comment. We like to hear your thoughts on each and every episode as well. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you soon.